Hi, I'm Wanda Sloan, and I'm here from Hillsborough County Office of Neighborhood Relations. Thank you for watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government. And today we have Wanda Sloan with us. Wanda's with the Hillsborough County Neighborhood Relations, and you're County Relations Liaison. So you stand between all the neighborhood groups and the county, right?
Yes, sir. We cover civic association as well as homeowner association, neighborhood watch. So I'm the liaison that offers training to neighborhoods, but also I'm the connection between the neighborhoods and the county services.
Wanda, I always like to let people know who the people are that represent them and where they came from, what their background is. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? I understand you graduated from USF, is that correct?
I did graduate from USF with a degree in sociology, and I've been with Hillsborough County for 15 years. I've been in county government for 26 years. I worked previously in the urban planning field in Manatee County, but I've been in neighborhoods for going on 10 years.
You know, it amazes me. This lady is really like popcorn. You see her everywhere. It's amazing to me how many places you show up.
I try.
I love having you on the show, and my wife came home from a meeting in Sun City Center here a week or so ago and said, you know, Wanda was there. You need to get her back on the show. So Pam called you, and here you are.
And here I am. Yeah, I like to take every opportunity I can to be in the community, to be in the neighborhoods, because that's when you get to know residents, and you also get to see what's needed. And that, I think the boots on the ground is very important for Hillsborough County to know, you know, what's needed, what services do we need to increase or decrease, how can we help make our neighborhood sustainable.
What fascinates me, and you will when you meet her, she never forgets a name. I mentioned this group, and she says, oh yes, this person's in charge of it, or I'll mention, oh yeah, and these three people. It's amazing to me, that kind of memory that you have.
Well, you know who you learn who the leaders are in the community. They stand out because, you know, we're different now than we were when I was younger and when you were younger. We were encouraged to be civic-minded and to participate. That has kind of changed with the way things are. So you learn who the people are that are willing to step up and make a difference. And that's kind of how I just remember, because I try to stay in contact with them all the time.
But society really has changed when we get into a situation now where you can't have a one-income home.
Right.
It's almost always now where it's a two-income home.
Right.
It makes it more difficult to find volunteer time and family time together.
It does. It makes it very hard. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the Children's Board for an event, and they were talking about there's a new term called ALICE, and they said that a large amount of Hillsborough County's population is right on that line that with any big event in their life, they could be homeless or in poverty. But it's an acronym for a study that they did of neighborhoods and of families, and how that financially so many people are teeter because there's just, we don't have the families that we used to have that lived with us where the grandparents took care of the kids and stuff.
And aunts used to live in the home and everything.
So everybody has daycare, or they have, you know, after school programs or something. So they never have downtime. They're always going to do something. So it's very hard to get volunteers.
I find this when I talk to people with Sertoma, Rotary, all these, finding people that have time even to join a group.
Right, and it's even amazing when you talk to our retired people that have retired. They're so busy with everything that, you know, you don't sit on the front porch anymore and rock. Everybody's doing something.
The Sun City Community Association out there, about 6,000 homes, and 10,000 people, 11,000 people. They have 160 clubs
Yeah, and
that one can join. And that doesn't include the churches and all the other things.
And that doesn't include the civic associations and homeowner associations.
Right. Oh, that's true. So they all need leadership, and that becomes a problem.
It does become a problem. And I think that the biggest thing for my office, and the reason that I love what I do so much, is because of the need for leadership. We have the opportunity to offer training to our neighborhoods on how to be on a board. Not everybody knows how to be on a homeowner association board. You know, because when you go...
A lot of people who have been there for years have no idea what they're doing.
And you want to make sure when people go that they're going because they have a passion for their community and not necessarily their own agenda. So we offer training on public speaking, to understanding how to read your bylaws, how to create a civic association. So I think that, you know,
that's
the
in
more
the latter
knowledge...
part of the year, right?
Right.
Do you do that all year, or is it... I know you have the leadership conference.
Well, we have training throughout the year. We have our Government Leadership University, which is free to anyone that lives in Hillsborough County or works in Hillsborough County. And it gives you the opportunity to see your government from the inside out. So we actually go out to our solid waste department and see how the water is processed and cleaned. We go to the landfill so that you can see. It's amazing. If you go to Hillsborough County's landfill, you think you're going to see all this trash, but you actually are standing on mountains of grass because they take that much time to make sure that it's covered and you know, maintained environmentally as much as possible. And it gives us a great opportunity to see how taxpayer dollars are spent, but also to make a friend and assign a face to a name. So it really helps the citizens to see.
Let's go back to how, if one was interested in getting this type of training, what would one have to do?
You can go to the Hillsborough County website, and it's hillsboroughcounty.org, and go to the Neighborhood Relations page. And on the left-hand side, there is a link that says Government Leadership University. And that's where the information is, the application. It's a simple application, and then we'll give you the dates of when the meetings are.
What kind of time commitment is there if someone decided they wanted to do this?
It's 10 weeks. We do encourage you not to miss more than 2 meetings. Just because...
Is it one day
it's one day a week, and it's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So it's only a few hours. We've actually looked at this year trying to do it in the evening, and that makes it more convenient for people that work, but you don't really get to see how the county works from the inside out. Because a lot of the agencies are closed, and you know, so I mean, we've actually gone on site visits with our code enforcement and allowed the participants to use the graffiti truck and spray paint graffiti, and you know, see the different types of code violations. It's amazing that a lot of people don't know what a code violation is. And so we've started a new pilot program where I'm actually partnering with code enforcement, and they do their Fight the Blight, where they go into communities that are struggling with blight. But you know, neighborhoods that I deal with or that I'm working with, we're working to make them stronger. So we're actually going into neighborhoods and educating them. At first, we're handing out information on what code violations are, and then we will go back, and through the neighborhood grant that I have for cleanups, you can get 5 commercial-sized dumpsters that we pay for through yes, sir, through the grant, and we'll put those out on a Saturday. The whole community can, you know, those things you put in your garage you don't know what to do with.
You can get rid of batteries or whatever.
Exactly. You can actually bring them to the site and get rid of electronics, refrigerators, old grills. We don't take paint because that's a hazardous material, but we do have our community centers open for that. So sometimes what happens is the neighborhood will collect the paint, and then somebody will just take it to the service center and drop it off. But we take tires, we take bricks, things that you put in your garage that you don't know what to do with, old grills.
So anybody can take this 10-week class, correct?
Anybody can, yes, sir.
And it's probably those, it would be really difficult for a person working to take a half day off.
Well, what a lot of
But
people,
a lot of retired folks might be
Right.
or want to do that.
Right.
Do you have to be in a leadership role in order
No.
to go to this?
no, because we don't want to just reach out to only people in leadership roles, because we want people to want to become leaders. We need new leadership and a next generation of leadership. So we encourage anybody that's just interested in seeing how your taxpayer dollars are spent.
So how many would be in a class or in a group?
I cut it off at 20.
20?
Just
All right.
because we transport, when we go out to the different areas. So
What are some, besides the dump sites and code enforcement, what are some of the other things that this leadership group might see or be exposed to?
well, we do what we call a mock board meeting, which actually gives the participants a time that they can present something to the board. Of course, we don't have the real Board of County Commissioners up there, but each person that's in the class, some will choose to act as board members, some will act as the attorney, and we're actually presenting real zoning cases so that you can get experience, for one thing, of speaking for 3 minutes before the board, because a lot of people, they come with passion, which we love.
And 3
but
minutes is
if
gone.
you bring 40 people with you and everybody wants to speak and everybody's saying the same thing because you're there for a reason, you kind of lose the background of what you're trying to say. So we're trying to educate people on getting 1 or 2 people that can relay the message, and everybody else just stand up and show, we're here for support.
You mentioned presentations, training, and things like that. Is that in this or in one of the other things that you do?
It's in both, actually. With the one class that we do for the zoning, you're actually before the board and talking. We also offer it at our neighborhood conference this year. It'll be April 24th. I think that's the Saturday.
And I want to go into that in depth after we leave the leadership
But
thing.
we will be doing leadership training there also. We'll have a track on leadership that you can take the different classes with that. And then we're actually going to follow up after that and offer training throughout the year throughout the county.
Let's look at the neighborhood conference, because that's something I want to attend. I'm going to try real hard to be there this year.
I'm going
if
to hold you
everything
to that.
works. You will too.
I know where you live.
You never forget anything. Tell us about that.
It's a great time where the Board of County Commissioners actually host it, well, they allow me to host it, and it's a one-day event that we have. Usually it's HCC Del Mabry. This year we're actually going to look at doing it at the Children's Board, but we'll have the updated information on our website. And it's a day where you can come, anybody that can come, and go through workshops and learn information. Anything from code enforcement to Florida-friendly planting to leadership training. We're doing one this year on swim safety, because in the state of Florida, drowning is one of the top 3 things that we lose our children to. Because we have so many pools and lakes and retention ponds, drowning is, it's a big thing. So we're going to have a training on that, what to look for, how to train your kids to float and know when to turn over. And we always talk about legislature, the changes that affect the homeowners association. So we actually have 24 workshops.
Wow.
So
in one day.
In one day.
So you got to be very careful what you choose.
Yes, what we do is we have 4 workshops going at each.
They 45 minutes?
They're 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then we do the presentation and we make sure that there's time to ask questions. So we have question and answer. Some of them are panels, so you can ask questions the whole time. So we have different tracks for homeowner associations as well as for civic association and neighborhood watch.
How big a difference is there between a neighborhood association and a homeowners association?
A lot. A homeowners association is a mandatory association, And that's where when you move in to an association or into a neighborhood, you have to belong to that homeowners association. And you have to pay dues, you have to pay your fees. And that goes into the maintenance of the community. And with a civic association, it's voluntary.
Okay.
So a lot of that is like urban neighborhoods or either older neighborhoods where that when they moved in, it wasn't a developer that built it. They were built years ago as actual neighborhoods.
Can you give us a couple of them here as an example?
Sure. 12 Oaks off of Waters in Town and Country, Baycrest, which is off of Memorial, Bloomingdale. Bloomingdale Association is one of our largest homeowners association, and they have voluntary and mandatory.
Is that a civic or is that a?
They have both.
Oh,
They
okay.
have a mandatory that were some of the ones that were built later, and then they have some that they were not required to have a mandatory association. So even if they have deed restrictions, the people may agree to abide by those deed restrictions, but they really have no teeth in enforcing that. To where in a homeowners association, they can put a lien against your home. They can take your home if you don't pay your dues or if you have outstanding fines. Civic association relies a lot on code enforcement and government enforcement, to where a homeowners association has their own jurisdiction and their board can take action.
When a government entity comes in and says, this is a area, an old group of old homes are now part of a historic area, what kind of an association is that, or is it an association?
Well, a historic area can be voluntary also, but the historic portion of it goes to the building when you're pulling permits and when you're making improvements to the home. So that's where the historic portion comes in. When you're in a historic neighborhood, you have to go to according to those guidelines. So it's tied more to the zoning than it is to the actual association.
Are there board members in those historic areas?
They're typically
Somebody has to overlook.
Right. It doesn't have to be, because when it becomes deemed as an official historic neighborhood, then it goes through, there's an overseeing historic council that goes in and reviews the properties, and they set the guidelines for that. So you have to submit the information to them for approval for whatever you're going to do to your house. A lot of them, like Hyde Park and Seminole Heights, those are bungalow homes that they have the overlay of the historic district, but then they also have civic associations that bring the community together and strengthen them. Seminole Heights is they have multiple associations, but they are very strong in their community. They have a community garden, they have a fresh market, so they do a lot to make sure that their community is, where they want to live.
In Sun City Center, we have two very large community associations.
Yes.
You're mandatory. You do, if you live in that area, you do join. But within that community association, there are a lot of homeowners associations.
Right.
Which again are mandatory.
Not all of them.
Well, the homeowners associations.
The homeowners associations
Like
are
I live in
mandatory.
an open area where it's not governed by a homeowners association.
Right.
So you can have overlays on top of overlays.
Yes, you can. Especially if they're built in phases or by different developers. Sun City Center originally started as Del Webb.
Right.
But they've had different developers
And
in there.
Pulte came along and.
Right, and then you had WCI, and you have different ones that were in there. So when they're building, some developers want a mandatory association, especially if they're adding a taxing district or something on there to pay for the infrastructure, then they definitely have to have that board. Others just want to come in, and it happens a lot with custom homes. They come in, build the home, and that's pretty much all they do, and then they're gone. So the difference in the civic and the mandatory is, there's a big difference between them.
I hear people complain about board members or the way they're being treated. and they don't know where to go with it. Are you the person to go talk to about an association if a person feels the board isn't acting in the best interests of the group?
Well, that's interesting because, I mean, I can help. I definitely try to talk to them and mediate and give them places to go for help. But in the state of Florida, mandatory homeowner associations are mandated through Florida Statute 720. So 720 actually lays out the guidelines to a homeowners association. You have that, but then you also have their documents, which is their bylaws and how the association is actually set up. So if there's a problem with the board, if they have a property manager, then they need to go to the property manager to make sure that everything is being run according to law.
Oh, okay. That's your first step.
That's your first step.
Okay.
If you're having problem with people on the board, then you should talk to other people in your community and see about replacing that person on your board. But it's based on how the bylaws are written, and if it's only you that's having problems with the person, is there really anything that's being done that's wrong, or you just don't like that person's personality?
They won't let me paint my house purple.
Well, that's what you should have thought of when you moved into a neighborhood association.
They won't let me fly my flag. They won't let me put a political sign out in the front yard. I mean,
certain things
you hear
that
all
go,
of these things.
You do. And certain things that go along with our amendment rights, like flying a flag, the statute, Florida statute came in and the legislator made specific provisions for that you can fly your flag. Also, since we are trying in this country to save on energy, used to, homeowners associations could tell you couldn't have a clothesline. But Florida statute changed that in 720.
Oh, really?
That you can have a clothesline. It just has to be a retractable one that you can put away.
Oh.
So it can't be up all the time, but you can hang your clothes out. So they have made those adjustments.
Now let's go back to the sessions that you're going to have on the 24th of April. How does someone sign up to go to this? And the day is from what time to what time?
It's on a Saturday.
Okay.
And it's from 8 a.m. until 2:30 p.m.
Till 2:30?
2:30 p.m.
Okay.
It starts out with a continental.
What about lunch?
We have lunch.
And who pays for that?
The sponsors and exhibitors. We have an exhibit area.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. We have an exhibit area, and
Lots of freebies and stuff?
Lots of freebies. We have county agencies that are there, but we also have vendors that are in the community that come and share information. We have pest control. We have roofers. We have plumbing. All different types of things. We have Florida Fish and Wildlife come that can talk to people about raccoons or alligators, and those are even bees.
They come to my backyard, I'll show them the gators.
Right. There's nowhere in Florida that doesn't have to worry about a gator somewhere.
That's right.
If there's a retention pond or a ditch, there's a gator there.
So they sign up how?
They can go online to hillsboroughcounty.org, and then Neighborhood
Go to the
Relations
neighborhood.
is the webpage.
Okay. Or call your office?
Or you can call my office,
Okay.
and we can.
And they'll tell you how to go to the website.
We will tell you, but you don't. If you don't have a website, not everybody has computers, and if you're
Really?
if you're like my parents, you may have one, and you're still not going to use it. So we can definitely get you a paper copy to apply, or we can register for you to where that you can attend. It starts out with a continental breakfast.
Really?
That's free.
And the breakfast is at what
8
time?
a.m.
8 a.m. and the classes start at 9.
The classes actually start at 8:30.
8:30, okay.
Yes, so you can get your food.
Hurry and eat.
Well, you can take it with you. We actually let you take
Oh,
it
that's
with
a good
you, so
idea.
you can sit and drink your coffee
And
eat
where
your
is the
food.
children's board? Is that in Ybor City?
The Children's Board is in Ybor City. It's on
Okay.
Palm Avenue.
How's the parking?
We have ample parking. I make sure that we have plenty of parking. We typically have 300 to 500 people attend. So we break up into different sessions, and then there's the exhibit area. They can go through and get their information. And it's just a great time to talk to people and meet vendors, and also for you to talk to other homeowner associations and civic associations.
I just had a really great thought. Don't know if it would work or not, but it's a fair drive from Sun City Center all the way up to Ybor City and waving around to get there. Be neat if Heart worked with you and had a heart transport out of Sun
would be
City
great.
for that. Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Yeah, it would be great. But you want me to tell you something that's funny? It's harder to get people from Carrollwood and New Tampa than it is from Sun City.
Well, we are active folks
Yes.
down there.
There is an imaginary line if you live in the urban area that people don't like to cross. They like to, going into Brandon or Sun City to them is like going to Alaska.
It reminds me of Cincinnati with all its hills.
It's true.
When people moved from one hill to the next, they actually had sort of funeral services because they never thought they'd see him again once they moved to the other hill.
And that's how it is. Hillsborough County is so vast. I mean, it's a large county. And then you have the different municipalities inside of that. So it's far-reaching. And you have to take that into account anytime you even have just a public meeting. Because, we go all the way to Pasco line, all the way to Manatee County line, all the way to Polk. So it's large, and you have to be able to accommodate all the residents.
I'm active in Toastmasters, and we have great facilities down there in Sun City that I can get at no charge, and I can't draw them from the county. They don't want to go all the way to Sun City.
I would love to have the
having it
conference
in Miami.
there. I would love to have the conference there because you have the big community center there. You have the
Plenty of
different
room for
breakout
displays.
sessions. You have plenty of parking. But I can guarantee you, if you asked anybody in Carrollwood or Town and Country, will you drive to Sun City? They're going to be like, no.
Is that an overnight trip?
Yeah, exactly. Is there free lodging?
So it's the 24th of April. They have to log in either on the Hillsborough website or call your office,
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
Anybody can go.
Anybody can attend. It's for anybody that lives in a house or in a neighborhood.
Are the list of classes on the website?
They are.
All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
they can go there and have a look at the website,
Yes,
see
sir.
what the list of classes are?
And you can register for that class. I ask people to do that so that I have an idea of the number of people that will be in that workshop so that we can make sure the class size accommodates that many people. But if you get there and you decide, I would rather go to this one, you're more than welcome to go
Assuming
to.
that there's space in that
As
one,
long
right?
as there's space,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to go.
Who instructs these? You have to be real quick because we're running out of time, but there's so many things.
We have different people throughout the county. We have property managers, we have attorneys, we have people
So
that work for
professionals.
Hillsborough County, professionals.
Great.
But we also have volunteers because learning best practices and what works and what doesn't is great to learn from seasoned volunteers that's been in the business
Well,
forever.
that's true. Being in the trenches makes a great deal of difference, and you're always in the trenches, Wanda Sloan.
I try.
I'll be honest with you. Like I said at the beginning, she's everywhere. This lady, I don't even know how many hours a week she works, but she's busy constantly.
Yeah, I stopped counting them.
I'm Bill Hodges. This is Spotlight on Government. You're unique, you're special, you're great. Tell yourself so often because you are, And Wanda, you're one of those very special, unique people.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching.